Hi and welcome to another weekly edition from the Seek and Change website. What I'd like to focus on today is an identity process. I've been working with some new mums this week, doing some workshops. And one of the themes that came out that when they become a new mum, they tend to then get described as their child's mum as the child grows up. So when the child would have a health visitor or whoever is connected with that child, then they may say to them, is this Tommy's mum or dad? Is this Lisa's mum or dad? Is whoever the child's name is. And the females more so than the males, although it does happen to males as well. But the females more so than the males lose the identity of their name, and they become a non-person sometimes. And the mums in this group were saying exactly the same thing. And they kind of became, in a sense, non-entities. They weren't seen for themselves. They were seen from the point of view that they were the mother of the child, which is true. But sometimes not being called by your name can give you a real problem. Names are really important. It's not just that we were given a name when we were born. Names become an identity, and identity becomes a part of who we are. And sometimes names can be very, very important. So if your name is shortened, for example, by somebody to a point where you don't like it, then that might be something that you would take offence at, you would react to. Some people have what they might class as Sunday names from their childhood, whereby if they've been not good, or they've not done something they should have done, or they've knocked something over, something that didn't happen the way it should have happened, then the parent might say that name. So you might say something like Elizabeth, for example, and that would be the Sunday name, where Liz would be the name that they were normally known by. So names are really important, and identities are really important for all of us. And who we are kind of dictates on how we react as well. So if somebody was not given us our correct title, for example, I was working recently with somebody who was very high up in the health service, working with pediatrics, and somebody was classing that person as a doctor, which is actually correct. This person was a doctor, but they were also a professor. And the title of doctor didn't denote the seniority, and that really had some major implications for how they saw themselves. And the professor aspect, which obviously they'd worked hard to achieve and over a long period of time, had been denoted to doctor. Now that's not to say that they kind of were working through a process of being ridiculed or being put down or any of those kind of things was meant. The terminology doctor was correct, but at the end of the day they felt as though their title should have been the professor. Now from that point of view, they worked hard to try and understand why they were reacting so hard and so largely illogically in some senses to this change of title. And when we were working, we went back over a few years and to their childhood, to some rejection processes, which had triggered back up with this name and title in the present day. So names and titles and identities are really, really important. And as I say, females more so than males usually have a problem with new children, new births, and certainly if they're a first-time mum, as these mums were. And we had long conversations, debates about how that affects them and how that makes them see themselves differently. And one of the mums came out with this process, as she felt, was that because she didn't react to that change of title or that change of name, because she didn't say to the people, actually, I am called, for want of confidentiality, we'll call her Rebecca. Actually, I'm called Rebecca. My name's Rebecca. My daughter's name's Elizabeth, for example. but I am Rebecca. I'm not Elizabeth's mum. And she kind of got that in a very confident way. She was able to articulate that to the people that she was talking to. And eventually they took it on board and they changed that process. And she said she'd felt once that she was referred to as Rebecca, she'd changed, her persona had changed, her way of viewing herself changed, because that title, that name, was one that she was happy with and she enjoyed, and it gave her an individuality instead of just the mum of. Now that might seem really trivial and really silly to a lot of people, but for this group that was one of the things that they said really kind of got their goat when they were going to schools and playgroups and all these kind of areas. So from that point of view they reacted to it, and then we did some work on how they may, the other mums, may kind of assert themselves with this process of naming, just like this lady had done, Rebecca. And they kind of did some work on interactive processes about how to say to these authority figures, in a sense, who were looking after their children, or who were professionals, or who were specialists. They worked on a process of how to be assertive enough to be able to say, actually, that's not who I am. That is one of my roles, but that doesn't define who I am. So we worked in the workshop about assertiveness and confidence building and getting the right words and the right structures and doing some rehearsals. And I got a text from one of the people who attended the workshop this week, and it was full of praise for the support that the group had given her, because she was able to then go out the next day and make amends on how she'd felt over a long period of time about this change of identity and change of roles. And she felt as though, she said, that she had a new lease of life. So names and descriptive processes such as titles or things of that nature can really be important. Try not to trash somebody's name if they feel it's something that they see themselves as. As a counsellor, I would always ask what people like me to call them, because it might be something completely different. Some clients like their middle name, not the first name, even though they would use their first name. So try and find a way of re-establishing that process if you feel that people are not seeing you who you are, and try and be assertive and try to tell them exactly how you want to be defined. And if you're working with people where you do have to interact with them, just be mindful of the interaction you give them and the title you give them and the name that you give them, and just bear it in mind to be sensitive to those processes. More information of these topics can be downloaded from the website on www.seekingchange.co.uk, and hopefully I'll talk to you again. Take care. See you soon. Bye.